Hey, there's me, standing on the roof of a 400-year-old castle that used to be used to defend Cork City against pirates. But I don't spend my days looking out across the water for pirates. I spend my days looking out into space. Come with me, I'll tell you a bit more. So welcome to the lab. I get to come in here every day and hang out with all of these beautiful telescopes here. We have all different types of telescopes on site. We have our main research telescopes inside the observatories, but we have these telescopes as well because we do a lot of public outreach. So if you do come out and you ever visit Black Rock Castle Observatory, especially on a clear night, we might have some of these set up in the courtyard. You might be able to take a look through these different telescopes here. There are all different types of telescopes, and here at Black Rock, we deal with optical telescopes. And there are three main types of optical telescopes, which we have displayed here. We have our refractor telescopes here, which are your typical, what you think a telescope should look like kind of telescopes. And we've got Schmidt-Cassegrains, one smaller one here, and a larger one here, very similar to what we have upstairs in the big observatory. And then we've got Newtonian reflectors. My kind of favorite telescopes, because I have a Newtonian reflector. But all of these telescopes are used for different things. Your refractors are going to be really good for lunar images and planetary work. Your Schmidt-Cassegrains are going to be good for your deep sky objects. And your Newtonians, your reflector telescopes, are going to be really good for the deep sky objects that are really faint, because they're nicknamed the light buckets. They can really collect a ton of light and make those really faint objects even brighter, make them much easier to see. Welcome to the main observatory at Black Rock Castle. This is the dome that you can see from the outside, the one that sits on the top of the main tower of the castle. So if you ever come to visit Black Rock, you're able to come in and you can take a tour. You can go up the 85 stone steps, the spiral staircase that takes you all the way to the top of the tower. And when you get up here, you'll be able to take a look. You see over there, we have windows. You can take a peek and you can look inside of the dome here and you can take a look at, we have a beautiful telescope. This is Big Bertha, and she has that name because she's earned it. This is a 16-inch Meade LX200R. She is so big, she can see halfway across the known universe. So we use Bertha in this observatory to look at black holes. Really, really cool. Now, the special part about this tour is that you're actually now standing inside of the dome. That's a privilege that's reserved for the astronomers here at Black Rock Castle Observatory, like myself. There are only a few of us, so I consider myself very lucky to be able to stand in here and to be able to stand next to Big Bertha. But I don't get to just stand here. I get to actually use Big Bertha. I get to take her, spin her around in the night sky and look at all sorts of different types of objects. But the main research that's done here with Bertha is we look at black holes. We're looking specifically at blazars. So these are the jets that come shooting out from a black hole. And blazars are the jets that are pointed directly at us here on Earth. So we're looking down the jet stream of a black hole. So when we take Bertha, we actually have her set up to a laptop. The laptop is the main control. It does everything. So that becomes our eye. Just like the telescopes downstairs in labs, Bertha uses optical light. So the same kind of light that we are going to register with the human eye. That means we can actually take a look through Bertha with our eye. But since we're looking at things that are very, very faint and require a bit more sensitivity, then we're using cameras on the back of Bertha. This will have cables that feed from the camera into the laptop, and there we can use software to control the images and make sure we're getting exactly what we want to see. We're able to decide how many images we want to take, if we want to use filters, sort of like the filters you have on Instagram, but a little bit different. And we use software to control the main mount. So the mount here has motors in it. And I can take a specific object in the sky, a target, decide that's what I want to look at, say it's the moon. Click on the moon, and I tell the mount, that's where I want you to point my telescope. And the whole thing will move and shift until my telescope's pointed directly where I want it. Then from there I can decide, I want to take some pictures now. So We use that same thing to look at black holes. It's a little bit different though, because black holes are really hard to find. So when we're looking into the night sky and we're looking at a spot where a black hole might be, we're actually looking at the stars around that area. So we'll have an idea of what stars are in that area, and then we can look around and see what kind of patterns and shapes the stars are making and see if it's matching to the picture that we have of where that black hole should be. Then once we've got everything lined up and we can tell that we're looking at a black hole, then we know for sure this is our target, this is what we want to take, and let's start taking images. So it's hard to find because black holes are black. Not the easiest thing to spot in space because space is black. So actually what we're looking at is light that's coming from or around the black hole, and so those are the jets that we're looking at. So they actually look like little stars, little points of light. So it's a bit of an art to figuring out, am I looking at a black hole or am I looking at another star? But it's actually a really cool job. So the mount that Bertha sits on, this right here, is motorized. So that also gets connected to the laptop. And then we have software like this, which allows me to see what's visible in the night sky at the moment, makes it easier for me to pick my target. I select what I need, and then the mount itself is able to turn the telescope and point it in the direction of the night sky that I need it to be in to start taking images. So the dome also has motors, which means that I can open it up and twist it around depending on where I need to look in the night sky. The shutters there are about this wide, so when they fold up into themselves, I get about that much sky, and in its original position, it's facing south. So what do I do when I have a target in the north sky? Pick something like maybe Brandon Tiran. They sit right next to the plow, which is always in the north. So the entire dome can actually rotate. So we move the dome around until the part of the dome that's open is facing the direction of Brandon Tiran. Once Bertha's pointed in that spot, then it's got a clear view and I can start imaging. So I hope that you're able to get to come and visit us here at Black Rock Castle Observatory, especially on a clear night, because you might get a chance to actually look through a telescope.